Thank you for staying with us. You are watching Choice 2013. It is now 7:15 right here on KTN, your authoritative news channel. We carry on with our coverage of the political party primaries, today being the all-important day, which is the deadline for all political parties to give their final list of nominees to the IEBC. That is at 5 p.m. later on this afternoon. That is just under 12 hours now. The clock is ticking. Dispute resolution is taking place in both TNA and ODM, in both Cord and Jubilee. And we will wait to see just what will happen and which names will be finally released. It is indeed an important event in the election calendar, being the first step. From here now, it's all systems go, and hopefully, as we've just discussed with David Ohito, we will now be able to focus on the issues and not necessarily the personalities or the politicians themselves, but we will indeed wait and see what happens. Remember, in our broadcast today, we do intend to have a live link. We will be speaking with Catherine Omwando from Orange House right here in Nairobi, the center of everything that will be happening to decide the fate for, among others, Oburu Odinga, Ruth Odinga, and what has happened in the various areas in which nominations did not take place. We will also be taking a look at what is happening in Kisumu. Remember, if you are in Kisumu, in Homa Bay area, do send us a message 8040. Would like to know what's happening in your region. Would like to know how you feel about how the exercise has been conducted. You can also tweet us at KTN Kenya. Our hashtag is Choice 2013. This is KTN. Let's now have our second discussion of the day today, and we just want to focus now on integrity of the leaders. We now have a set of leaders in many areas, bar the areas that have had controversies, but in many areas now we now know who is contesting for what. And we now want to take a look at their integrity, want to take a look at their credibility, want to take a look at their ability to run. And so I'm joined by Ambrose Weda, who's a lawyer here in Nairobi, to tell us more about that. Ambrose, when you take a look at the integrity, let's start with the integrity of the process itself, of the elections that we have seen. We do know that political parties had challenges which were famously termed as logistical issues in the various parts of the country, not just to one political party, yes, but to various. What do you take of the integrity of the process itself? How did that stand?
If you look at the processes that they undertook to nominate their candidates, you can say that it was a whole mess. It was what somebody will call shambolic. Yet the process produces some people who are already as good as elected. If you look at many parties, in majority of cases, there were no elections. In other cases, elections were for free for all. You walk in with your ID, even if you are voting in Northeastern, you walk in and vote. Quite a number of people were supposed to be voting in Mount Elgon, voted in Nairobi. So you look at the process and you'd say it was not proper. And yet election is a process. It's not an act. From the beginning to the day somebody is sworn is a whole process. And if it is not done properly and the wrong people are elected, it actually goes against the very laws that have been set up to regulate elections. Okay. Yes. The
integrity of the political parties, the credibility of them now, with everything that has happened, the faith that people have in their parties and the ones they support and that they're members of, how badly has that been damaged?
No, it has not been damaged. The support, the faith is not in the parties. The faith is in the individuals leading those parties. If we take, let's say, the Cord presidential candidate, if today was to dismantle ODM and come with the UDM, the same membership would go with him. Those who are in TNA, if it is turned into UTN, they will go there. So it is generally the loyalty is to the individuals.
All right. Should we be worried about an event like that? Should the loyalty be to individuals or to the political parties?
In the long run, the loyalty should be to political parties. But we have not had a fairly developed political party system. We have names. You depending on the amount of support you have, you cobble up a name, you register it, and that's a party. And it depends with the giants involved. in the long run, I think in another, if we have 4, 5, 6, 7 elections, people will slowly start coalescing around political parties, around ideologies of political parties and what they stand for. As at now, it is more of my kinsman,
right,
my brother, or where my cake will be better.
But I think that is what we were hoping for, yes, with this political primaries, that it would be more about strengthening the political parties. I know, yes,
yes,
we're still a growing democracy, as everybody keeps saying,
yes,
but I think there was a lot of hope that was pegged on these particular primaries, that people would now be engaged in their political parties, and there would be some sort of drive and push from within, where the party members are saying, this is what we want, and this is how we want the parties to be conducted.
In fact, at the beginning, there was justification in having that hope. And according to the Political Parties Act, before it was amended and mutilated by the members of parliament, it would have given us some credible election, because you had to do your job at least 3 months before. You have your membership, you do everything. But there was also a dilemma. So the members of parliament kept on amending it, so as to allow them to defect at the last minute. Why do you defect? Because you don't believe in any party. You just believe, can I win? Like that. So there was justification, and there would have been order had it not been that the MPs decided that they want to protect themselves, they want to interfere with the process, they want to interfere with the timelines, and by amending the law, that is what has led us to where we are, where
yes,
you go for the primaries, but you are not very interested. You are saying, am I winning? If I don't win, then yes, there were no primaries. If I won, then there were primaries.
Absolutely, and it's worrying, in as much as the whole process just seems like a farce, really, that the people who want to run will run, yes, at any cost, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
Is it at any point about the electorate, about the voter? Does the voter feature anywhere in this whole process? Because in some areas you've, yeah, seen the voters have spoken, and it just seems like the candidate says, this is what I want.
The Kenyan voter is very sincere. They really want certain leaders, and they know that if you take a ticket of a particular party, you'll get it. But the leaders themselves are not sincere. Mm-hmm. The leaders are only sincere to the extent that it is me. If it is me, then it is okay. If it is you, then it is not okay. So, whereas you know that the voter wants you, my task is to manipulate that voter so that either he supports me or we mess up your own election. So what has been done has been deliberately done by the leaders.
Okay. Right.
The top party organs also, they have also their friends, their financiers, their kinsmen, whom they would never want to lose. In fact, in some, if you go down there, you find some people are saying a party is a private thing. If you think you are Mujuaji, then start your own party. Okay. They may not say that publicly, but down they tell you start yours.
Yes, that is sort of the impression that we get. Yes. Let's talk about this because there was an article about it in today's paper, yes, that was talking about the fact that Kenyans were really angry with the members of parliament towards the end when they attempted to increase their perks. Yes. Yet, during the political primaries, yes, we've seen a number of them emerging victorious to run for the various seats that are available. They could either be, representatives of the legislature or of county seats, governor or senator. Let's talk about the integrity of some of the people that we have.
Yes.
And let's talk about Chapter 6.
Yes.
What was the main intention of this? Sometimes we talk about Chapter 6 and, yes, integrity, and perhaps we don't really understand it, Ambrose. Yes. Put it in perspective. Let's understand what Chapter 6 meant when they were, yes, talking about integrity, yes, before it was diluted, as some people, yes, would like to talk about.
Yes. Kenyans wanted a break from the past. In the past, we had mastered impunity. You grab land and you do anything and you rig yourself in, and the impunity built itself up to a level where when we reached 2007, we had to fight each other. We shed blood, and people said, no, we now from here must start afresh. And part of the renewal was that we get credible leaders. We get good leaders. We get leaders who are clean. Even if you are dirty, but you are able to say, yes, I've been on the wrong, but I want to move on. That was the original intention of chapter 6 and issues of integrity. The only part where that integrity issue is failing is that it is supposed to be implemented by the political leaders. And the political leaders are part of the past. They were the makers, they were the brewers of the impunity that Kenyans are talking about. So as much as I would say, look, I want a leader with a university degree. And we say yes. The moment like that decision, that law was passed, it turned out 3/4 of members of parliament
had no degrees.
Had no degree.
Right.
But because they are scheming, was politics about scheming and jostling and cleverness, they didn't make noise. They said when Kenyans are asleep, we will delete that one. Just hold on. To the extent that we have made, allow me to use the word nonsense, of the entire integrity issue. The integrity was supposed to allow us to renew ourselves. You see leaders have presented themselves that they hold certain qualifications which they, after all, did not hold. And they know that they didn't hold them. But because we were a country of impunity, you just walk in and come in and say, I'm Professor Weda. And you say, well, I used to be in the university somewhere in Oklahoma. And because Kenyans were not there, you call me professor. But when you are now called to the table,
to account,
and our impunity is so deep that even when you see the law, you keep on tempting the law. The law says you have a degree. You know your degree is not good enough. It's not genuine, but you still try. The worst part for me is trying. Trying when you know the law is clear. But I know that in the long run, Kenyans will win.
Let's talk about the other areas of integrity that we meant, and this constitution was passed by an overwhelming majority of the Kenyans.
Yes.
And this is what we said we wanted. And it's not just about university degrees, and we'll get to that in a moment when we talk about why that was important and why we even put that in the first place. But let's talk about other issues of integrity that we talked about.
Yes.
For example, persons facing court cases and everything, and then we changed it, and then, you know, it was changed and said, okay, until proven innocent, and, you know, until the matter is concluded and, you know, heard and concluded in a court of law.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the other areas that were, shall we say, mutilated?
If we look at, first of all, the qualifications of leaders, and the qualification is very critical because that is what makes you the leader. And the qualification is also judged from your past. Even your education is your past.
Indeed.
Whatever you did in the past. There are people who mutilated the offices they held before, and therefore, short of reconciliation and apology, you'd say, going by your past, because we give people positions on the basis of their past. You cannot, like the presidency, you cannot say, experience president, you must have served as president for 1 year. It is a position you are given as trust based on your past, yet it's the biggest position. So your past should be able to demonstrate that we need to have hope in you, going by the past. Now, if that record is a record of deep impunity, accumulated wealth which you cannot justify, because integrity involved, you come and tell us you're a billionaire. But it's very simple. You tell us this is an economy of $1 trillion. This is the business that I run, that in 10 years, I would be able to accumulate $1 billion shillings. Now, you'll find that that part was also watered down. Yet, the major reason why people want political offices, why somebody would leave a job where he's paid 1 million shillings to go to one where he will be paid 500,000, is because there are extra curricular opportunities for acquiring wealth which you have not worked for. And that part, the members of parliament decided, let's water it down so much that the issue of wealth declaration, showing how where you have come from and where you are going, is something you do privately. If I sit as a member of parliament, you'd find that most constituency, CDF is about 50 million. That's so right. In 5 years, that is 250 million. My salary would be about 30 million in the 5 years. But my net worth after the 5 years would be about 150 million. That is how the integrity law was put, so that you are asked, where did you get the extra from? Which shop are you running? Which hardware shop do you have? If you don't have, as majority of MPs don't have, then that is stolen wealth. Okay. So that is part. There are several other places that that were diluted, so that you just make some quiet declaration about.
Let's talk about that, and it's important that you mentioned that it is indeed about the past, because how else are we going to judge them? Yes. But on issues like wealth, that one is very clear. They should have been able to declare their wealth. We know only Martha Karua has done that from NAR Kenya. Yes. But let's talk about other things, and you've talked about impunity and mutilating the offices that they have been a part of. Yes. Some of the issues in one's past are allegations. Yes. That are not yet proven. Yes. Should those allegations tell Kenyans, okay, there is something here, it is not proven, but you know, there's all of these things that are being said about you. Yes. There are these things that you are being accused of having done. Yes. Should that stop a candidate for whatever position from running for office?
In the long run, it should. In the short run, it should not. Why do I say so? We are still at a stage where we play our politics dirty. We win by all means, such that if by, let's say, being taken to court will bar you from running, I can do anything to ensure that you are charged in court. We are still at that stage where anybody can do anything. Somebody will come and
come and allege.
Yes, will come and plant some drugs in your car, so that you are arrested and taken. Then you say, him is still high, she's still in court. Yeah. She cannot run. Right. But we will build it. We will build our judicial system. We will build our country. We will build things in such a way that a time will come when, as a matter of honor, you will be saying, although the Constitution gives me the right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty, under the circumstances, I will hold on until these issues are cleared. That would work. But if you are to try that today in Kenya, we will throw so much mud at you. Any opponent, in fact, I will sit down and say, now I'm likely to have you, have him, have so and so. These are the opponents. Then how do we throw mud at them so that they bow out? We are as dirty as that. And that is why, let's say, we say, let the court decide. If the court decides you're guilty, fine. If you look at like the United States of America, you can see that there's that honor. If an issue comes, you step aside. Yes. But people dig so deep, they smear you left, right, and center. Now, we have not become that sophisticated.
Okay. Yes. So in the short run, probably not. Yes. In the long run?
In the long run, it will come when we have matured, when we are organized, that as a matter of honor. And you can see Kenyans have become more and more agile. The issues you saw about the packs that the MPs gave themselves. The Kenyans came out and said, never, never, never. And they made all the noise, and the president had them. It will come.
So what needs to happen? Politics needs to get cleaner to a point where we are sure that we are playing fair and playing by the rules, yes, yes, so that certain things like this are not misused?
Yes, we actually need to be more sincere, more pro the country, and we look more outward. As at now, we look more inward. I look at myself, when myself and me alone.
In the event that that does not happen, or that is something that will surely take quite some time, yes, because it's a culture change, not an event, but a very long process. When we get to the point, maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, when politics is about issues, rather than about personalities, where now the mudslinging can begin and certain allegations, some even false, can be made. Yes. What happens in the meantime?
In the meantime, we will hang in on there. But the moment politics stops paying, now it is very lucrative. You find that it is only in politics today that during your normal life, before you are elected, you can hardly afford bus fare to town. But that is the only place immediately you go in, you have a four-wheel drive car and a huge salary. So politics is lucrative. There are many people who go in there, not because they want to play politics, not because they want to serve, but because it is lucrative. Once we start regulating the incomes, the way now the Constitution has put it, and we regulate the much you can acquire in there, only those who are interested will go in, and it will start cleaning itself. I will go in knowing I want to serve there. I want to do that job, because we have to have what is called opportunity cost. You say, okay, I will leave my law firm to serve in politics, but for now it is lucrative, and I will step on anybody so as to get there.
So as to get there and do whatever it is,
yes,
and make certain allegations. Okay, you've talked about what happens in the short term, of course, innocent until proven guilty, and
yes,
that perhaps this is something that can be misused. So let's talk about the case in court now. For those that may not be aware, you are the lawyer with those petitioners that
yes,
is
yes,
seeking to bar certain individuals in this country from running based on the court cases.
yes.
Tell us about that case and the premise of that,
yes,
of course, following what you are saying now,
yes,
that this probably cannot be done now.
Yes.
We cannot start saying, look, if you have a court case, if you have a court matter, step aside, conclude
yes,
that matter and
yes,
come back.
yes.
However, that is exactly what you are doing.
Yes.
You are asking the court to decide on whether the two individuals should indeed run for president of this country.
When you take a matter to court, first, the mere fact that that matter has been taken to court about individuals is good enough for this country. And that's why we talk about it. That's why we know. And it has helped others who are coming to know that one day, although today is a bit difficult, there's still a delay, the court has not made a decision, but one day you may wake up and you find the court saying, no, you cannot run. For purposes of building our democracy, it is a good thing. The case is pending, and there are several others. Other people have come in and we have brought in, and nearly all the top guns are supposed to, the court is supposed to decide and say, no, you cannot run. But all this has also been weighed against Article 2 of the Constitution. It is called the sovereignty of the people of Kenya. And that Article 2 says that the people of Kenya are sovereign, they are supreme above. So that if they want Mr. Weda, they want Mr. Weda himself. How do you stop Mr. Weda from being their leader? So all these issues have been put together, and we ask the court to look at them. As the court looks at them, you must weigh the sovereignty of Kenyans and also the consequences, because courts never function in a vacuum. There are certain decisions that if you were to take, the people of Kenya can uproot this building. They have uprooted people in Egypt, wherever. So all these things, you weigh them and you say, let us go through a process that will bring peace and prosperity. But that ice has been broken, and people have known that issues of integrity can crop up anywhere, anytime. And when the cake is on the table, your hand may be held so that you don't pick your piece. You're told, no, relax, you can't.
Okay, now Ambrose, that seems like a bit of legal speak there.
Yes.
And speaking, but I do want us to get into that and to just understand the petition.
Yes.
Why you speak on behalf of the petitioners,
yes,
and say what it is that they have a problem with those particular candidates, without prejudicing the case too much. We understand that is a matter that is going on in court.
Yes.
We will discuss that in just a moment from now. Ambrose, if you will allow us to go into an update on what is happening in Kisumu. Remember to take a look at their local issues and not sometimes be burdened with the whole national cake, as it were. Carol Derry, thank you very much for that from Nyeri. We've had some interesting perspectives of what's happening in Nyeri and what is happening in Kisumu with that support, and we'll get to that. Your thoughts on that, the two interviews we've had, and what happens in Kisumu and how the people fervently look at Raila Odinga and say this is the man who will sort out our issues, versus what's happening in Nyeri and perhaps other regions as well.
Yeah, I come from Kisumu County. There we are very passionate about politics, and why you see the violence, that ticket is as good as election. Whereas if you look at a place like Nyeri and generally Central Province, the party ticket is not a guarantee. Secondly, an individual's support, however mighty, again is not a guarantee. In the last elections, you saw close friends of President Kibaki like Mwiraria. He lost.
Yes.
He was the Minister for Finance. He lost it. And the people said, no, it doesn't matter who supports you. There, when Baba supports you, you are in. That's why people are fighting over the ticket.
Right. The stakes are much higher.
And unfortunately, it reflects very badly at the national scene and at the international level, both for the candidate they call Baba and for the county, especially that this is the next elections after the last post-election violence. It gives a picture that Kisumu is still volatile. There's chances that there could be violence. And it scares away investors. It may be important for us to appeal, as I do, to our people, to relax. Whoever they do not want and whoever they want, they are Kenyans. Right. And if they do not want somebody in this particular party, they have a choice to elect in other parties. There is no reason to fight each other. There's no reason to kill. There's no reason to display Kisumu as the most violent party in this country. That's right.
And what you talked about, so important, it's scaring away investors.
Yes.
And as we go into the devolution system, counties will now be running semi-autonomously from the central government, and it will be important for every county to try and gain as much economic growth as possible.
The key element is to have investors.
Right.
The investors are not just wazungus from abroad. You here, you have big salary, you should go to Kisumu and invest it there. But the moment you think about it, you say, no, I can't go there. When it turns violent, what do I do?
Happens?
So you scare away. And that thing is so deep that even the people who come from there, they are hesitant.
Even the locals themselves to invest
Kisumu
there.
is not the first choice.
Okay.
Yet it has immense opportunities, immense. But that image, you cannot cobble up a team that would invest. You can now just decide, let me invest as part of our home, but otherwise, the passion is not there. Okay. So I would urge our people to note that the county is bigger than the individual.
Absolutely. That's an important message to the people watching us from Kisumu. But before we went into our updates with our reporters, Ambrose, we were talking about the petition that is in court at the moment.
Yes.
Let us understand the merits of it. And what it is that you are seeking from the courts.
Yeah, it has, my petition has 5 people as respondents. The Uhuru Kenyatta, it has William Ruto, it has Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Musalia Mudavadi on various allegations, various complaints that we are asking the court to look at. For Uhuru and Ruto, it includes the fact that they have also been charged at the ICC. So we are saying, look at all this and find out whether they should run.
And for the others, obviously for Uhuru and Ruto, it is very clear it is the ICC.
Yes.
Let's talk about the issues that you have with the other candidates. If you can just mention a few in passing so that we can understand.
Somebody like Mudavadi, we have the issue of Golden Bag, Nairobi City Council. Somebody like Kalonzo Musyoka, we have the issue of the Yatta land and several others. Somebody like Raila Odinga, we have the issues of molasses plant, several.
Okay.
Yes.
So in talking about all of this, we are asking the court to do what exactly with your petition?
We are asking we were asking the court to look at these issues, and on the basis of Chapter 6 and the Integrity Act, to find that they should not run in these elections.
All right.
Yes.
Let's talk about what we'd been saying earlier, that perhaps, in a country such as this, we are probably not ready to have petitions.
Yes.
At the stage at which we are, we've said Kenyan politics isn't exactly clean and that persons would use that. If we're saying we have a problem with them, we're saying they should not run. That's literally all the candidates, save for 2. Martha Karua and Peter Kenneth.
No, it is only that somebody did not look deep. We are coming from a dark history. We are coming from a past that if we were to delve into it, maybe those who are coming from college today would be the people to run. But majority of people who are over 60, 50, 70 years, they served under, they lived at a time when impunity was at its peak. Therefore, if you are to rake in and look at all this, perhaps we may not have candidates.
We may not have
we may have a Kamenchi, the lady, but we may not have these others. So this big five, they are in the petition because they are big five, I'm sorry to say that, based on preliminary assessment.
Right. So based on your preliminary assessment and what is happening, you are asking, not that you are saying they're guilty, can we understand that, but you are saying that with the allegations, with everything that is being said about them,
yes,
that they should perhaps step aside?
Yeah, they should deal with these issues first before they assume the reins of power.
Okay.
Once you assume the commander-in-chief of the defense forces, there are issues that cannot be raised just by virtue of being in that office. First of all, you are protected by the Constitution. You cannot sue or be sued or taken to court while you are in the office. Secondly, it is at that point is not very wise.
Okay,
yes,
to be able to do that.
Yes.
The court is still pending, that
yes,
decision.
Yes.
Do you see any decision coming before March 4th?
The decision will come. It all depends on us. The courts have been very ready. But several people keep on joining, others keep on leaving. Things keep on. It's a game of I don't know how to call it. So part of it has been us. We have not moved with a lot of speed as time runs out.
Why is that?
As I've told you, some people come in because such a petition of such magnitude. Everybody is allowed to join. So somebody thinks of some small issue, he comes to support. Another person thinks this is my man, he comes to oppose. And when you come in, the timetable enlarges. You are given time to file your papers. You have to serve these people.
Well, so are you frustrated with that process? Because obviously a decision on this very soon, even as these candidates are being endorsed by the political parties, ballot papers are probably already starting to be printed. We're already going into campaigns proper. Are you frustrated by the process?
I'm
Is there
very
something
hopeful
you want?
because a decision will come at any time. Even if you are already in, the Constitution allows us to get that decision and to use it for impeachment purposes. So even those who are elected, they should not feel safe.
All right. So this
Yes.
decision for you, even if it comes after March 4th,
We will, yes.
hopefully if we are done with round 1 of the elections,
Yes.
this is something that would still be open to you.
Yes, we will use it to impeach. We'll say now the Constitution is very clear. It says if you have this kind of decision against you, you're supposed to leave.
All right.
So the distance, the
And
distance is there.
that perhaps would be for the persons, let's talk about the three, aside from the two, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. But for them, the
Yes.
process is something that is outside of this country. We have the court cases that begin
Yes,
April
yes,
10th, which is after the election.
Yes.
Are those two different cases? Because with this one, you can allow for impeachment. What is your take then on the two? Should they not be
Technically,
Yes.
According to that case, if you are not elected, and that means you become a rahia. So there would be no need to pursue that case against you because you have lost and you are no longer you are no longer going to be president. So you are saying you're safe because until another time when you want to be president.
What do you say to people who say that this is all politically motivated? I think we've even said it before, we've alluded to that it could be that candidate X is unhappy with candidate Y, and let's get Ambrose into court and say, look, there's this petition against this individual. Is it politically driven, this petition in court?
I would say everything that is done in the political arena is political. But you can use the word politically motivated as a defense. What matters is what is the issue on paper. Does it exist or does it not? Even if it was politically motivated, which it is not, you look at the allegation and you say, yeah, although it is politically motivated, it is true. It may not be politically motivated, but it is not true. So what is on paper is what matters, and they know that what is on paper is not far from the truth. If you say that Uhuru and Ruto have been charged at the ICC, that's a fact. Even if it is politically motivated, it's a fact. When you say other things, they are facts. But you say, look at it, whether being charged at the ICC should stop you from running. That's what we're asking the court.
Ideally, what would be your ideal candidate, Ambrose? You've raised a petition against 5 of the big leaders in the country. What in your mind, when you take a look, when you dream of a country for you that is, all things being equal, running fairly well, let's not say perfect, because I don't think that state actually exists. What would your ideal candidate running for any office in this country be?
I'm looking at a person, first of all, who loves this country. A person who would be able to unite the 42 tribes of this nation. A party that will make us feel proud about our tribes because we have equal opportunity. As we talk now, people are fronted by their own tribes. And we need a leader who will transcend. I believe that if President Kibaki was running again this time, he would have been very difficult to defeat. Why? Because towards the end of his leadership, if you look at the development is done, especially at the infrastructure stage, he actually looked at the country. You'd see Loitoktok road is being done in Busia, it is being done in Kisumu, it is being done in Garissa. You look back and say, this is the kind of leader we want. So I look at a leader who will unite us, and then a leader who is able to grow our economy. We need food. We need to earn. Somebody will focus less on political gerrymandering and sub-rattling to building our economy, to building our wealth, and uniting us so that we go to the first world. And
Ambrose, that ideal candidate would also have no cases pending before a court of law, no allegations whatsoever?
Ideally, it should be somebody focusing on this country. But because you cannot stop people from bringing cases against you, for now it will be difficult. But in the long run, we will want a clear candidate who will focus more on the country without cases.
That sort of candidate you portray, some would say, is impossible. Because like you said, if people bring court cases against you, there's not much you can do about that.
There's not much, yes. But the kind of candidate, I say, Kenyans are very robust, and we have them. And even among the presidential candidates now, it's easier to nurture such a candidate. The problem is our politics is so polarized. You see us throwing stones in Kisumu. You see some people cutting each other in Tana River. And therefore leaders recede back. When you see a leader from Tana River, he talks as our people. He no longer talks as a Kenyan leader.
Ambrose, before I let you go, I've got to ask you, when you brought these cases to court, did you do any due diligence or investigation on the others, say Peter Kenneth, say Martha Karua, and found nothing enough to add them to your petition list?
You know, as a lawyer, you are instructed. A client comes and tells you that I want you to take so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so to court on these allegations. Then you say, give me the evidence. Okay. Then he gives you the evidence. You cannot suggest to the client that also add so-and-so, so-and-so.
Fine, all right, understood.
So if I got instructions against Martha Karua and Peter Kenneth tomorrow,
you would go ahead? Okay, all right, fine. So this is not something political, you're acting on behalf of your clients?
No, they are petitioners.
All right, okay.
For me, I'm acting professionally.
And your petitioners are? Are you allowed to tell us who they are?
No, their names are there.
Yes.
Their names are there. There's Njoroge and his organization. Those are the petitioners now.
Okay, all right, okay.
Those are public issues.
All right. So acting on behalf of your petitioners, and they are the ones who have issues with the candidates that you have mentioned here today.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Ambrose Weda. We've been speaking with him, talking about the petitions that are in court against the 5 candidates that we have running for various offices. Of course, 4 of them for president. One of them is a running mate as well in the country. And he's saying that, you know what, even if these cases carry on until after the election, there is still hope for them to be able to do something with the results that the court would give them if it indeed found them not capable of being in office due to the court cases and allegations that surround their past deeds in the country. Ambrose Weda has been our guest. It's now 10 minutes after 8 o'clock right here as we cover the political primaries. Remember, this is it now. 5 p.m. today is the deadline, and we will be taking a look at that. Let's take a short commercial break right now. We'll be right back with lots more.